Hello, everyone. Ex-Walk Hill Bethelite here. And are Jehovah's Witnesses qualified to teach? When you think about a person who is qualified, not just a person who teaches others, a person who is qualified to teach a certain thing, normally they had to go through a certain course, and that course was designed by people who were experts on the topic, experts on the subject. They had to make sure their material was accurate before they taught it to other people. Well, the problem here for Jehovah's Witnesses is most Jehovah's Witness elders, their career, what they do on a daily basis for 8 hours a day or more, has nothing to do with the Bible. It has nothing to do with anything scriptural. So the majority of their day, a lot of these elders have families. They're at work. They're at work doing, let's say they're an accountant. So they're at work doing accounts, counting money all day. They get back home. I'm assuming they have some family responsibilities where they need to make sure the house is in order, bills are paid, talk to people in their family. And then maybe there's a period of time when they're not busy with work or family or anything like that, where they can sit down and read their Bible. But that don't make them qualified to teach. Jehovah's Witnesses, by and large, are all people who they haven't taken any college courses, college level courses in regards to the Bible, the theology, ancient languages, anything, Bible history even, anything. They haven't taken classes on anything, right? And you got to understand there's different levels of classes, right? There's classes that you can go out and take that are not accredited. And no company is going to take that class seriously. Yeah, you went and read about said topic. You went online and you read something. But who provided that class? Are they accredited? Are they reliable? What material did they provide? All of those things matter when it comes to taking a person's teaching skill seriously. So for Jehovah's Witnesses, for the most part, they just get together, talk about the Bible for a couple of hours in the week. They call it a meeting. And from there, they all say they're qualified to teach. Well, here again is the problem. Who qualified you? What course did you take? They had something that they used to call the Theocratic Ministry School, and they changed it. Possibly they changed it. I don't know if it was for legal reasons or maybe they got found out that they had something called a school. They were calling it a school and it wasn't accredited by anybody, by anything. And we already discussed what happens if somebody takes courses or classes or goes to a school, even if it's called Theocratic Ministry School, and it ain't accredited. No one takes it seriously. You can't sit and just read something and say that now I'm a teacher. Right? So the people who were teaching the class, the Theocratic Ministry School class back in the day, those were people who, again, were given a title elder, but their career, what they did on a regular basis for 8 hours a day, every day, had nothing to do with no Bible. They just come home from work, get something to eat, put on a suit, go to the Kingdom Hall, get on stage, and start acting like they're experts on something. They weren't. There's one thing about Jehovah's Witnesses is every Kingdom Hall all around teaches, they're giving the same topics or teaching the same topics. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses paint this as a good thing. It's actually a bad thing. The reason why all the elders all around the world are all teaching the exact same thing on the same day is because they got it from the same person. They're just repeating what Watchtower told them to. That's how you end up teaching, all the Kingdom Halls end up teaching the same thing at the same time, is because they're all given what to teach for that particular day by Watchtower. So Watchtower gives what is essentially trained monkeys what to repeat. Like, repeat after me. Get on stage and say X, Y, Z. So all of them, all around the country, get on stage and say exactly what they were told to say by Watchtower. That's how the cult operates. That's the reason why you have this issue, this big major problem with Jehovah's Witnesses. Because when something is wrong, someone should catch it, right? If there's a mistake in teaching, if something's wrong, someone should catch it before it gets everywhere, before everyone's taught the wrong thing. But no one catches it because these elders, they're not qualified to teach. They're qualified to repeat what they were told. So if what they were told was wrong, none of them's going to catch it. Watchtower eventually figures out it was wrong. For example, the generation that would never pass away before, the generation of 1914 that will never pass away before the end of the world, well, that teaching was just taught everybody. All the elders just repeated what they were told. These are a bunch of window washers. They're not qualified to teach. Elders are not teachers. Elders don't shepherd. All elders do is repeat what they're told to tell you, like a good boy. That's what they do. They get up on stage and they repeat what Watchtower told them to tell everybody. And that's a good boy. Attaboy. That's what they do. So if the elders are not qualified to teach, they're not teachers. If Watchtower gets something wrong, they don't catch it. They just repeat whatever they're told to tell you. The people below the elders, they're not qualified to teach either. No one in your kingdom hall is qualified to teach. They haven't taken anything accredited. All they do is repeat whatever Watchtower tells them to. That's a puppet. Jehovah's Witnesses by far are all a bunch of Watchtower puppets. Watchtower pulls this string, they go this way. Watchtower pulls that string because they figure out that they got a teaching wrong, and then everybody just goes the opposite way. These people aren't teachers. They're not preaching. This is not a preaching work. This is a mimicking work. They go around repeating whatever Watchtower told them to say. That was the case even at the book study. You remember when we read the Revelation book? Revelation, the grand climax. Oh, this was supposed to be this great book. Didn't we end up studying it 500 times? Elders didn't even understand that book. They're just trying to repeat whatever Watchtower is telling them to repeat, and they're looking at this Revelation book and saying, man, this stuff is wild. Right? I think some of them wake up. The teaching is so bad, some of them wake up. I think the Revelation book woke some people up out of the stupor, the slumber that this cult puts people in. So we end up studying the Revelation book, and if I remember correctly, they end up changing a bunch of stuff because they got a bunch of stuff wrong, or they edited a bunch of stuff, or whatever the case may be. But everybody was all taught what it said originally. That's the case with all the teachings, all the publications, If we were to take all the books and magazines that Watchtower printed that are now considered old light. That's just a word. Your light bulb is not old. That's just a phrase that they use for the teachings that they got all wrong. So all the old light or teachings that they got wrong, the Kingdom Hall don't got a whole bunch of old light bulbs in the back somewhere. That's just old light is something that they made up, a phrase they made up. The teachings they got wrong. If you were to take all the books and magazines, I want you to quote me on this. It would fill an entire room. You would have to have an entire room full of bookcases to contain all the books. I'm talking from everything printed by Watchtower that is now considered wrong. You would have an entire room full of bookcases, the magazines, the Watchtowers, the Awakes that are all considered now wrong. You would have boxes full of them. But you gotta understand, these are all things that were taught to every Jehovah's Witness all at the same time, everywhere. And it was all taught wrong. And not a single elder caught it. I'm talking, how did you miss all of them? If you get all those books that are wrong, that they now consider wrong, you will fill a room. And you will look at all 200 of these books, probably more, and say, y'all didn't catch that it was wrong. I'm talking not one of these 250,000 books that they've printed that now are considered wrong. Y'all elders didn't catch nothing ever. These boxes of thousands of magazines that we now consider wrong, when all these elders were teaching it, like Jehovah's Witnesses like to say, we all learn the same thing at the same time. Yes, it's because they're just regurgitating what they were told to tell you. They ain't got nothing else to teach you. It's not like they have the ability to teach, right? They just have the ability to repeat. So all of them are repeating the same thing that they were just told to repeat because they can't teach. They're not qualified to teach. They're not teachers. They just take the concept of an elder out of the Bible and they say that all those qualities in regards to what an elder is in the Bible applies to them when it doesn't. It doesn't. They ain't qualified to teach. They ain't never taught nothing. All they do is repeat whatever in the world is in an outline given to them to talk about. In a magazine given to them to talk about. You remember the back in the day, the kingdom ministry. They probably call it something else now, right? Stuff is always wrong. They always got to change it. But it basically had, you are to talk about this at this particular time, right? They're not teachers. They're just repeating what the hell they're told to repeat. Not a one of them. And it makes sense that they're not going to catch any errors when Watchtower screws up. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses, by and large, have all believed more falsehoods probably than any other religion. Most of these Baptist churches, all the pastors teach something different. If somebody gets something wrong, the entire freaking world is not taught the error. With Jehovah's Witnesses, when they get something wrong, all of them are wrong. All 6 million or however many of them they're saying that there are, all of them are wrong. They're all walking around saying the same stupid, incorrect thing until Watchtower changes it because it just becomes so plainly obvious that it's 2000 and like, 22, 23, 24, 25. And yeah, Armageddon didn't come in 1975, so we kind of had to change that. Like they change stuff when it becomes obvious. But nobody caught it. Nobody. I remember talking to an elder and he told me, yeah, we all thought the end of the world was going to come in 1975. He admitted this to me. Do you know why they all thought it all at the same time? Watchtower told them that it was going to happen. They're just a bunch of empty-minded mimics. They mimic whatever Watchtower tells them, and they were all told end of the world's coming in 1970. Not a single one of them had enough sense to say the Bible don't say that. It does not say that in the Bible. Where do you see 1975 in the Bible? It doesn't say that. Not a one. You got millions of Jehovah's Witnesses, and not a single one of them had enough sense to say, yeah, that's probably jumping the gun to pick a particular year. You know what I mean? It's probably going too far. Not a single one of them had enough sense. That's because a whole bunch of window washers aren't going to know if they're being taught something that's wrong. A whole bunch of accountants, a whole bunch of people who are I don't know, they have a job, and what they went to school for, if they even went to school, has nothing to do with anything in regards to the Bible. So they don't have enough knowledge to even catch if they're taught something wrong and say, hey, we're not teaching this at the congregation. We'll teach something else, but y'all have to correct this first before we teach it at the congregation. No, they can't do that because they ain't got enough sense to catch anything that Watchtower gives them that's wrong. There should be all these elders writing Watchtower saying, hey, this is wrong, that we need to correct this, we need to correct that. Watchtower should be getting all this feedback, and they should essentially never get anything wrong because everything has to go through so many people before it gets taught. If everybody gets the same information at the same time. But no, that's not what happens. They don't check anything. They don't have enough knowledge to check anything, right? All they do is stand next to carts and write whatever in the world Watchtower told them to write in a letter. So are Jehovah's Witnesses, are the people who are going door to door talking about that they're preaching or doing a global, education work or teaching? How in the world can you do a global education work if you're uneducated? You hadn't gone to school, theology, anything in regards to the Bible. You just read it when you ain't at work. Stop it. Stop with the foolishness, the pure, utter foolishness that is Jehovah's Witnesses. Sometimes things are so blatantly, obviously ridiculous. Oh, well, somebody at Watchtower must have looked over it, and it must be correct because somebody at Watchtower must have looked. The freaking governing body members, they don't even have a background in the Bible. A lot of them came out the freaking military. They don't even have a background in you ain't got a sole person that's got a background in theology and in the Bible. Heck, their Bible that they have, they don't know who wrote it. Watchtower's not going to tell them who wrote it because whoever wrote it and made it wasn't qualified to do so. How do people to this day still fall for a religious scam that is so blatantly, obviously a scam? For crying out loud, you walk into a Kingdom Hall and not a soul there is even qualified to teach. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. I think it's all about the ego. They're not qualified to teach, but they like being called elders. They're not really elders. They're trained monkeys. Monkeys can repeat what they see humans do. Elders can repeat what Watchtower tells them to repeat. Whatever Watchtower tells them to say. However, they say jump, elders say how high. They're not elders. That's not an elder. That's just a copycat. That's a trained monkey. That's a lapdog. That's a good boy. They need to change the phrases, you know. Elders should be called good boys. Ministerial servants should be called monkeys. And pioneers should just be called stupid. Like, what in the world is going on in these Jehovah's Witnesses' heads? For me personally, I was a kid. Kids don't figure this stuff out until they get a certain age where they've got enough experience and knowledge to be able to detect falsehood. So I figured it out, but I was a kid being taught all this stuff. There's people 50 years old still falling for a cult that don't even got nobody that even looks like they qualified to teach. They have their assemblies on their website, and at their assemblies, you got people screwing up, messing up, and they're just reading off a piece of paper and they can't even do that smoothly. Comment down below, let me know what you think, but we are really in a time where there is no excuse to be that darn ignorant and fall for a cult that ain't even something that is that deceptive anymore to fall for. It's just too obvious that these people are just, they're repeating whatever Watchtower tells them to say. Jehovah's Witnesses will even admit, yeah, every Sunday we get together and we talk about whatever in the world Watchtower told us to talk about. These elders, they're not even qualified to come up with a freaking lesson plan, come up with a sermon or a talk on their own. There ain't a single thing that they can teach on their own. 937-789-4029. If the elders can't do nothing but repeat whatever Watchtower tells them, you mean to tell me the pioneers below them? These people ain't pioneers. They just pass out magazines all day. The people who go around giving out newspapers, right? The people who give you your newspaper. Back in the day, I don't know if they even still do it because everything's online, but back in the day, people would get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, throw them newspapers out the car window for a little extra money. Are they pioneers? If Jehovah Witness magazine peddlers are pioneers, then the people who freaking passed out all them newspapers, they're pioneers too. It's just pure ridiculousness. Utter and complete fools. Just total and complete utter foolishness. X-Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.